Why, hello everyone, and thanks for joining me today as we review the 2018 Lexus GS F. Now, Lexus currently has two high-performance models. That would be the GS F, which we are in today, and the RCF, which is a coupe. Now, the GS F has a starting price of around $85,000. Competes with all of the high-performance German metal like the Audi S6, BMW M5, and Mercedes-Benz E-AMG. However, the GSF is the most affordable when you start to look at the real prices these cars are actually going for. You can buy one with low miles from around $65,000, which is a really great deal when you consider everything that you are getting. Now, the GSF hasn't been updated in a long time, but that's okay. The exterior has the Lexus trademark Spindle Grille. Features a special F-Series design in the center, flanked by a air inlets beneath the headlamps, which feed cool air into the massive brakes. Now, the grille also features a lower molding. It's made from carbon fiber reinforced plastic, which provides downforce to the front of the car at high speeds. It is a wide front fender fairs with large open air inlets, which let air escape down the sides, while broad fenders and sculpted rocker panels provides visual muscle. So, it's really a striking car. It looks good, it looks muscular, it looks fast. Definitely not as angular as some of the German competitors, but nevertheless still a good-looking car. Now, on the underside of the GSF, it has specially designed underlays, which optimize airflow to the rear differential so it can stay nice and cool. Aerodynamics, it is a very important part of the design of this car, right? So it reduces lag, lets it really cut through the air. It definitely put a lot of thought into the aerodynamics of this vehicle to make sure that it was as quick as possible. Again, it really just cuts through the wind. Now, the rear of the vehicle is highlighted by the F brand's trademark quad exhaust tips. Carbon fiber spoiler and a rear diffuser meet the bumper, also complete the rear look. Lexus, in my opinion, did a good job making this car, look very special. I mean, as soon as you see this on the street, you know it's not your average GS. It's very muscular looking. The interior, is where the GS starts to show a little bit of age, unfortunately. It has a dated multimedia system, door handles on the interior from pre-2008, and a very basic flat interior design. It's not terribly pretty to look at, but it's also not all that bad either. The seats are unique to the F model, as is the steering wheel. The wheel has these interesting perforations around it, which feel pretty interesting. It looks cool. Again, these F seats, super nice looking. It looks, very racing. They're extremely comfortable as well, with large side bolsters. When it comes to sound and audio, the Mark Levinson sound system is really exceptional. It uses a classic D digital amplifier with 835 watts and Clear 5 technology, which analyzes, compresses, and determines how much amplification is needed and where to correct it for optimal sound quality. With that said, you get very deep bass, very clear vocals. The system really does sound fantastic. I'm an audiophile myself, and when I say a system is good, it really is very good. But let's face it, everybody wants to know how this car drives. After all, that's what it's made for. It's a driver's car. So first up, we have a normally aspirated V8, which delivers really seamless power from idle to red line, which is something that we can thank for the old-fashioned V8 with no superchargers and no turbocharger. They just deliver very seamless power. Now, the 5-liter V8 in this car is engineered with forged connecting rods and titanium valves, which allows a 7,300 RPM red line. We have 467 horsepower and 389 pound-feet of torque. Nice and broad band of power that's really always on tap. Now, it's worth noting the GSF has a fair amount less power than its competitors. With a 0 to 60 time of around 4.4 seconds, while very fast, it's still one of the slowest in the segment. However, it's still a blast to drive, in my opinion. One downfall as well with this would be its 8-speed automatic transmission. Even in its most aggressive mode, it still shifts slower than I would like. On the upside, though, it's very smooth for cruising. So if you'd prefer to drive this car in a relaxed fashion, you'll be very satisfied with the crisp, smooth shifts that this car can deliver at less aggressive driving. Now, something special on this car as well is a torque vectoring differential. It's standard and it's one serious piece of equipment. It enhances dynamic performance by precisely controlling torque to each rear wheel through the engagement of a multi-plate clutch. And it can operate as quickly as 1/1000th of a second based on data. So that's going to obviously give us additional traction. It's really quite an incredible system. Really does give this car a bit of an edge in handling. By using the switch on the center console, we can select one of 3 settings for the torque vectoring differential to best suit our driving style. Standard is pretty average, obviously, by its name. Slalom, it places additional emphasis on steering and handling. It makes the car feel a little bit smaller. Well, track is basically meant for higher speed driving. Now, all that said, GS F is no joke and a very quick car indeed, which handles well and can be comfortable as well. However, it's just not as fast as others in the class, unfortunately, which is going to be where this car takes a bit of a hit. But again, you are able to get one that's about a year old with low miles, around 15,000 miles, for around $65,000. So, it's really not a bad deal whatsoever. It's very comfortable. Gets good fuel economy, surprisingly, around 20 miles a gallon combined is what I saw. Getting as much as 28 on the highway, driving at 70 miles per hour, and around 17 in the city with rather docile driving. So, fuel economy is good. It's a very reliable V8 engine setup. Again, obviously, Lexus / Toyota brand is known for making very reliable, long-lasting vehicles. It's definitely a fun car. I think it looks pretty good too. But again, the downfall is just going to be a little bit of that interior, a little bit dated. If you can get through that whole somewhat dated interior, and you don't want the 0 to 60 in the sub-4 second range, I mean, this car really does do its job very well. It's a large sedan. It's very roomy inside. The back seats have plenty of space for the passengers. The trunk is large. So honestly, I look at this car almost a little bit like a BMW 550 because it's not at that M5 level, obviously, but it's also not as harsh. This car, I think of it as sort of a luxury, high-level performance cruiser, but not like that sort of super sedan level, again, the M5 and some of the AMGs are at. It's pretty similar actually to an Audi S6 when it comes to power and things like that. I'm going to switch it here into the Sport Plus driving mode. The instrument cluster actually will display 4 different graphics. There's an eco setting, there's a normal, customized, sport, and sport plus, and the dial gauge changes based on what mode you're in. The Sport Plus is really aggressive looking. It has like this sort of orangey fashion to it. Oh yeah, a little wheel spin with that rear wheel drive coming around the corner, feeling it. Oh yes, there we go, 7,000, and it's just feels good. Let me tell you. Yeah, the 8-speed isn't as quick as I'd like it to be, but still, I mean, you just jump on it and it take off still, And you can tell that, where the torque is at, it just doesn't have, a ton of torque. That 367, I believe it is obviously still a lot, but, some of these, turbo supercharged, models from other brands, we're talking 425, 450, the 500s, it's pretty intense. But again, 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds is nothing to laugh at. A top speed of around, I believe, 180 miles an hour. I mean, it's still plenty fast. You can still track this car and have a lot of fun with it. I mean, the handling is really where this car also comes into play. It is heavy, though, I can tell you that from experience. I mean, it really, when handling around the curves, while it does handle, precisely, you really can tell that this thing is heavy. You can feel it kind of slipping a little bit, slipping away. Now, all of the different modes, the rear differential, torque vectoring, and everything like that, traction, it does, a good job keeping this car on task and on point when you are in that more aggressive driving stance. But, at the end of the day, it just doesn't have as much power. Again, I'm going to keep saying that as some of the other models. But again, I'm also going to keep going back to the fact that it costs around 65 grand for a lightly used one, which is a really good deal. People, it sounds good. What can I say? An old-fashioned V8 still sounds very, very good. Also love the paddle shifters on the steering wheel. They're made out of real metal, believe it or not, and have little blue indentations for the plus and minus for the gear selection. Anyway, well guys, that's all we have for you guys today. I hope you have enjoyed our review of the 2018 Lexus GS F.